What if I told you there are herbs so powerful, so effective, so fundamentally threatening to the modern pharmaceutical machine that entire systems were built to make you forget they exist? Not by accident, by design. Regulatory frameworks written to exclude them. Medical curricula scrubbed of their names. Billions deployed to convince you that healing only comes in a pill bottle with a barcode and a copay. And yet, despite a century of systematic erasure, these herbs never actually disappeared. They went underground, into the kitchens of grandmothers who refused to forget, into the practices of traditional healers who kept working while the system looked the other way, into quiet communities where people still grow, prepare, and use these plants exactly the way their ancestors did. Not because they're rebelling, because these herbs work. And no amount of institutional suppression has changed that scientifically verifiable fact. Today, I'm pulling 10 of them out of the shadows. Stick around because number 6 was deliberately removed from Western medical texts despite 2,000 years of battlefield-proven effectiveness. Military researchers recently tested it again, and the findings sent shockwaves through wound care. And number 10 carries over 1,000 published studies and is still practiced in quiet kitchens across the Middle East, while most Western doctors have never heard its name. Hit subscribe right now. Let's get into it. Number 1. Elderberry. The winter medicine grandmothers never stopped making. Elderberry has been European folk medicine for over 2,000 years. It earned the name the medicine chest of the country people. Then modern antivirals arrived, and elderberry was reclassified from medicine to jam ingredient. But the grandmothers didn't stop. In kitchens across Eastern Europe, Scandinavia, and Appalachian America, families continued making elderberry syrup every autumn, quietly, without permission. Studies show elderberry extract significantly reduces influenza duration and severity. Anthocyanins have documented antiviral effects, inhibiting viral replication and enhancing immune cytokine production. Clinical trials show it reduces cold duration by an average of 2 days. Traditional preparation was elderberry simmered with honey, cloves, and cinnamon, taken daily during cold season. That recipe hasn't changed in centuries because it hasn't needed to. The medical system forgot elderberry. Grandmothers didn't. Number 2. Mullein. The lung herb hiding in empty lots. Mullein has been used for respiratory conditions across European, Asian, and Native American traditions for over 2,000 years. Modern medicine acted as if it didn't exist, but in Appalachian folk medicine, mullein never disappeared. People still harvest leaves from roadsides, dry them, and brew strong tea for chronic coughs and chest congestion. They do it quietly because mentioning herbal remedies to doctors earns dismissal, not dialogue. Mullein contains saponins that act as natural expectorants. It has anti-inflammatory and antiviral properties. Studies on mullein flower oil show genuine effects for ear infections. One of the most effective respiratory herbs in history grows as a weed, while people spend $30 on cough syrup that suppresses symptoms and calls it treatment. Number 3. Plantain leaf, the wound herb growing under your feet, not the banana. Plantago major has been wound medicine across European, Native American, and Chinese traditions for millennia. Today, in rural communities and homesteads, people still crush fresh plantain leaves onto bee stings, bites, and minor cuts. They don't mention it publicly because it sounds ridiculous to the modern medical system, but it works. Studies show plantain contains aucubin, with documented anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. Research confirms it accelerates wound healing and reduces edema. This herb grows in every lawn and sidewalk crack. People use it in secret because telling their doctor they put a leaf on a wound invites condescension. The condescension is wrong. The leaf still works. Number 4. Oregano, the kitchen antibiotic. Oregano oil never left Mediterranean households. While Western medicine pretended it didn't exist, families across Greece, Turkey, and southern Italy continued using it exactly as their ancestors did. Drops in warm water for sore throats, topical application for fungal infections, generous amounts during illness. Carvacrol and thymol have broad-spectrum antimicrobial effects confirmed in studies including activity against antibiotic-resistant strains. The grandmother who makes you drink oregano water when you're sick isn't following a trend. She's following 3,000 years of unbroken tradition, validated by every modern study that bothers to test it. Number 5. Lemon balm, the anxiety herb the system overlooked. Lemon balm has been grown in kitchen gardens for over 2,000 years. In traditional households, the practice never stopped. Fresh tea before bed, tincture during high anxiety, leaves crushed and inhaled for calm. Clinical trials show lemon balm reduces anxiety without sedation, improves cognition, and has potent antiviral properties against herpes simplex. Rosmarinic acid inhibits viral attachment to host cells. The gardener who grows lemon balm and drinks it every evening isn't being quaint. She's using a clinically validated anxiolytic without dependency or withdrawal risk. Her doctor prescribes benzodiazepines. Her garden prescribes lemon balm. Only one carries addiction risk. Number 6. Yarrow, the battlefield herb they deleted from the books. Here's the one I teased. Named after Achilles. Used by Greek soldiers, Roman legions, medieval knights, and Native American warriors independently on separate continents. Every warrior culture that encountered yarrow adopted it as essential medicine. For 2,000 years, it was standard for stopping bleeding and preventing wound infection. Then, in the early 20th century, yarrow was stripped from pharmacopoeias, deleted without investigation. But in herbalist communities, yarrow never disappeared. Midwives still use it. Homesteaders keep it in first aid kits. Military researchers recently tested it again. Yarrow contains a choline with verified hemostatic properties. It has anti-inflammatory flavonoids and antimicrobial compounds. Recent studies show it activates tissue repair cascades that balance inflammation and immune defense with precision synthetic treatments still can't match. Deleted from the official record, never deleted from the people who actually needed it. Number 7. Calendula, the wound flower hospitals abandoned. Monastery gardens, military field hospitals, village healers. Calendula was European wound treatment for centuries. Then synthetic antiseptics arrived and it was abandoned overnight. But herbalists never stopped making calendula salve. Modern studies confirm it accelerates wound closure, stimulates collagen, promotes angiogenesis, and has anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial effects. Clinical trials show it reduces radiation dermatitis in cancer patients. The herbalists preserving calendula in their kitchens weren't being nostalgic. They were preserving medicine that works. Number 8. Valerian, the sleep herb replaced with addictive drugs. Western medicine's primary sleep treatment for 2,000 years. Then pharmaceutical sedatives arrived. Barbiturates, benzodiazepines, Z-drugs. Each brought dependency, cognitive impairment, and elevated mortality. But European herbalists never stopped preparing valerian decoctions. Valerianic acid inhibits GABA breakdown, amplifying the brain's own calming signals. Studies confirm it improves sleep without dependency, drowsiness, or death risk. People in herbal communities sleep well on valerian, while the pharmaceutical world generates $70 billion annually from sleep drugs carrying black box warnings. Number 9. Thyme, the respiratory medicine practiced behind closed doors. Primary respiratory medicine from ancient Egypt through the 19th century. When pharmaceutical cough suppressants took over, thyme disappeared from mainstream awareness. But in traditional households across the Mediterranean and rural America, the practice continued. Thyme tea with honey, steam inhalation, thyme-infused honey in the cupboard year-round. Clinical studies show thyme reduces coughing and bronchitis, relaxes bronchial muscle, and fights underlying infections simultaneously. In Germany, physicians still prescribe it. Everywhere else, the knowledge survives only in kitchens of families who refuse to let it die. Number 10. Nigella seeds, the most powerful secret still whispered in kitchens today. No herb on this list has been more systematically excluded from Western awareness while being more passionately preserved in traditional communities. Nigella sativa, black seed, used over 3,000 years across Egyptian, Islamic, Greek, and Ayurvedic traditions. found in Tutankhamun's tomb, carrying the endorsement of a cure for every disease except death. In millions of households across the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, nigella seeds are consumed daily, not as a trend, as unbroken tradition passed parent to child for 100 generations. A teaspoon chewed every morning, cold-pressed oil with honey, mixed into food, applied to skin, practiced quietly with conviction that comes from watching it work across an entire family lineage. Western medicine has never acknowledged this tradition despite what the research shows. Thymoquinone has over 1,000 published peer-reviewed studies, anti-inflammatory effects across multiple pathways, antioxidant protection, antimicrobial activity against bacteria, fungi, and viruses, liver protection, kidney support, immunomodulation that balances rather than simply boosts. Clinical trials demonstrate nigella reduces blood pressure, improves cholesterol, lowers blood sugar, decreases inflammation, and enhances immunity. Cancer researchers found thymoquinone induces programmed cell death in multiple cancer lines while leaving healthy cells intact. Over 1,000 studies, validated across virtually every disease category, safe, pennies per dose, not taught in a single Western medical school, not one. Meanwhile, right now in a kitchen in Cairo, a grandmother is mixing black seeds with honey for her grandchild. Same preparation, same tradition, same results. Unbroken for 3,000 years. She doesn't know about the studies, she doesn't need to. Her grandmother taught her, and every generation watched it work. The system tried to erase nigella by never mentioning it, by building educational infrastructure with no room for a seed that costs nothing and does everything. But you cannot erase what people practice in their own homes. You cannot erase what mothers teach daughters in their own kitchens. You cannot erase 3,000 years of tradition by refusing to acknowledge it exists. Nigella survived, not in textbooks, not in pharmacies, in kitchens, in families, in the quiet, unbreakable chain of knowledge no institution has ever destroyed. And the science, all 1,000 studies of it, says the kitchens were right all along. If you made it to the end, you know something the system never wanted you to know. These herbs weren't erased because they failed. They were erased because they couldn't be controlled. And they survived because healing doesn't need permission. It needs knowledge. And knowledge, once it enters a kitchen, once it enters a tradition, is almost impossible to kill. Hit that like button if this showed you something real. Drop a comment telling me which herb your family already uses in secret. See you in the next one.